in the spirit of staying positive, we are going to find something positive for each and every player who played yesterday, and also talk about their general performance, because we are positive peeps. We don't want to be negative Nancy's. Hello and welcome to Khosi Nation Fan TV. I am Bilo. I am your host. This is where fans meet and talk about Kaizer Chiefs. I'm a Khosi Football Club, and it's time for the player ratings from the Nedbank Cup last 16 match between Kaizer Chiefs and Casric Stars. We are going to start with the goalkeeper, Brendan Peterson himself. So Brendan was on holiday again yesterday. He did not have really much to do. What I will say, the positive thing about him is that, you know how we've been talking about how Ukune is the best distributor of the ball in the country. No one is catching Ukune anytime soon. We know that. Even in the world, I think there are very few keepers who can say they beat Ukune at distribution. But I will say, I've seen Utu Peterson has this thing that he does, gets the ball, and he can throw it really far, and that works because I've seen it in few counters in the matches that Peterson has played. Uguti, when he throws the ball, it usually lands on the player, and then we can start hammer counters from that. So he should just practice to throw the ball, because apparently amateur zake are good enough. So that's a good thing from him. The negative things that I didn't like about him, well, it was just one save, and the ball bounced in front of him, so that's not a big deal. The really negative thing that I didn't like, that I don't like, that becomes a theme, is that he likes wasting time, especially even if we still have like 20 minutes before the match ends. Like, and that to me reflects ukuthi kune attitude yokuthi, oh, let's waste time because we are winning, and I don't want that, because the team might say to one up, you can still go and get the third goal, the fourth goal. But if everyone is thinking, oh, seswinile, let's try and waste time, that's not good. However, I'm going to give him a 5 because it did not really have much to do yesterday. It's a 5 not for Ugutu perform but a 5 yoguti he didn't have much to do. Moving on to Ukweneka, I will say this. We start with the positive things, right? So the positive thing is that at right back, he has seemed to be more solid than compared to when I was playing as a defender, and also the effort of overlapping and trying to go forward. But there's still a problem. Yoguti Kweneka still fails to cross the ball when he gets up front. There's still a problem. Yoguti, he made a mistake that led to a goal, and all of a sudden a game that seemed like we're winning all of a sudden was going away or was getting away from us. So I think these fumblings that are continually happening, they're not good for him, and eventually he's going to see himself in the bench. Fortunately for him, Ungezana is not going to be there this weekend, so that means Ukweneka will play as a centre back, but we'll talk about that game later on in the week. But I don't like that. You can't keep on making mistakes week in, week out. So for him, he gets a 3. Moving on to Hlanti, we start with the positive things that in other games we're talking about Gutu Hlanti does not make that much effort in overlapping and going forward. He did that yesterday. He did try to overlap and go forward, but his side, it was just nothing was happening that side, and he delays the ball. Shame. Sometimes there is a simple pass that he could play, but it doesn't play that pass. So I think if he can just fix that, because he's old enough, he's an experienced player enough, who knows how to play just one touch and make the ball move on. So I think if he can fix that thing, ball, especially since this thing has been happening throughout the season, then we can find ourselves in a much better position. So Klandi gets a 5. Moving to Dove, who was solid as usual. I won't waste time with him. I will say, Guti, the only thing I'm not saying waste time in a negative way, but I'm saying waste time because we know what we got from Dove. I think the only thing is that now his frustration with Ukweneka is becoming visible. Uguti, now he has to be calm down. Don't be so angry with Ukweneka and stuff like that. I think that would be the only thing that I can say he needs to just, because these players are they are making mistakes, and eventually but eventually when players are making mistakes around you, you end up being frustrated and you end up calling them out, and then you lose your cool, and that's not good to see. However, he still had a solid performance, so I give him a 7. By the way, guys, if you're liking and enjoying this video, please do like it. It helps me to reach more people like you, so please do like the video. Like it. Thank you. Okay, let's move on to Ungezana. Ungezana as well was solid, and I will also add to Guti he had discipline because he got a yellow card in the first half to a point Ugutu Mandla at halftime. He said, "Hey, Gezana should probably be subbed because he might get another yellow card and be sent off." But he kept his cool and then he played the entire match with a yellow card. So again, solid. He gets a solid 6.5. Moving on to Yusuf Mat. Yusuf Mati, I will give him the positive yokuthi defensive work yakhe covering for Ukwinika when it overlapped or covering for Uhlant when it overlapped. That's good. However, he lost the ball way too much. He lost the ball way too much and that just doesn't sit well with me because you're a midfielder and you can't be losing the ball or giving the ball away to our opponents because the whole thing is that we keep the ball, they don't get it, but when you keep on losing it to them, so that ends up making our skills not so balanced as you would want them to be. So then Umat gets a 4 as well. Moving on to Ustebe, beginning of the game, he had those passes that were just going forward, because we saw Guti, there was a space behind the defense, a Casric. So he kept on just being wise with that and playing the ball in behind the defenders. And that was it. But then the problem is that bekuba nenkinga yokuthi at the end of the day, second half, angimbonanga ukuthi uSithembu ubekuphi. He was still better than Umat when he did show up, but he just sort of disappeared. And that's our midfield positions, and that's where we should be visible. But that wasn't the case yesterday. So yeah, overall, I will say he did work hard as well, and he did try to play armor passes, better forward passes, but he gets a 6 because it wasn't incredible. It was just above average or just average with an extra bit of hard work, which made it seem like he's doing better than Umat. And he did do better than Umat. So he gets a 6 as well, Usted. By the way, if you're new to this channel, you can also subscribe to this channel and follow me everywhere: Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Khosi Nation Fan TV. That's the channel. Moving on to Umtu, I was shocked. I was shocked how Umtu ended up being the man of the match. I don't know how, because yes, I will say ukuthi we were starting with the positive things, right? Ukuthi effort yakhe umntu, he was all over. Like, he went to collect the ball out wide, he came back to defend, he was just doing all the things that you needed him to do, making runs forward. And when he's on the ball as well, you can still see it's Mtu. But yesterday, since Casric did not allow us to play that much through the middle, then Umtu kind of just disappeared. The first half yonke bongamboni ukuthi ukuphi Umtu. Second half, the problem that became evident is that sometimes Umtu does not want to pass the ball even though he can do it, you know. So then you question yourself, does he fear if I pass these guys they will miss, or does he, you know? So maybe Uzwana should talk to him, listen, ball pass the ball, right? Because that might just be a problem that will creep in and he might grow with it. So Uzwana must just take out that, because Umtu is good, because people will now say, hey, Umtu is still a good player, but there are things that he needs to fix, like lender selfishness. So in my opinion, Umtu didn't get a man of the match performance. I will give him a 6, to be honest. He will definitely get a 6. Moving on to Mahlatsi, once again, some people were blaming why was Mahlatsi starting. And I said this, there's something that the coach is saying, Uguti is playing him again and again and again since the season resumed. So that means he's doing something edgy mean. And we saw that Uguti, we've been complaining so much about Sekhot. Uguti is predictable, he's always trying to go outside and make a cross. But Mahlatsi, he inverts, and you expect him to invert when they're playing on the opposite side. Like if they're left-footed and playing on the right, then they cut in. But Mahlatsi cuts in to his weak side, not even good he's cutting into the strong side like Utoli, if he's cutting in from the right wing and cutting into his left side and then crossing the ball. No, he cuts in and he trusts himself. Uguti can carry the ball and pass the ball and take the ball into the midfield. He did that very well. I don't understand people about because he did that very well. He was very active in the first half and he was getting fouled as well. It's not like he was just losing the ball. He was getting fouled because he was doing things that Casric weren't expecting. So for a player who hasn't played that much, it shows Uguti Ngempela, whatever that's impressing Uzwana about him, it's something that me, I am seeing Uguti it's there. And someone even suggested good maybe if he played as a 10, we might see what he could do. But Umtu is playing that position. Maybe so he should just continue and play in that position and keep on cutting in. And he can also go wide. So Yabogut is unpredictable because you don't know what he's going to do. Anyways, he just needs to improve his fitness here, okay, understandably. So he hasn't played that much. And the Uba fit and Uba match fit are two different things. So he's going to improve. So I'm giving him a 6. Moving to Utoli, positive things, right? He did give us an assist and he did add numbers going forward. There were countless times where he was available to get the ball, but he wasn't given the ball. About that relationship with Ugutumtu could have passed the ball to him earlier or could have, passed him like he didn't pass him at all. Or anyone else who could have passed to Dolly the ball and didn't pass the ball. So those are the positive. But when it comes to my negatives, Utol is a big player. Like he really is a big player, and with his quality, like Ubonile Maisha Krosi, you expect more, right? You just expect more. And we know this season Utoli has not really been Utoli from last season or from the seasons before. So I think there's still a lot that Dolly needs to done because he was just missing the entire game. Like properly affecting the game the way that we know he can. He just did show up, yes, with that cross, and then it was a goal, but I expect more from him. So he gets a 4. Caleb Bonfilis, the Black Panther, Bimenyimana, the man who's gotten me into hot water. People saying him like too much. No, I will say this, Uguti. He scored a pen, which is a goal, right? It's a goal, so we'll give him that. Stepping up after having missed the last penalty, also that's good because the penalty, yes, it's a penalty, but I saw Salami's a penalty against Bournemouth, so there's a certain amount of pressure that's over you when you have to take the pen. So he took the pen, he scored, and I will also give him the fact that I've seen it 3 or 4 times. Uguti when he gets the ball and he takes a shot on goal my outside the box. He's usually accurate, right? He forces the keeper to make a save. So that's a positive thing. He's probably uh, practicing that. So good on him. But Bafet, Ngitinzwil, I just said positive things about him. So I don't have anything negative because the movement yak is still a war. Like sometimes it clatters into his own players, and that's like basics in the to pass and move or movement in off the ball as a player, not to mention as a striker, is a very very important thing. So yeah, he scored a goal, so I'm just going to give him a 4 because he didn't even finish the game, and besides that pen and that shot, that was it with Caleb. Then with Dupree, positive thing, he comes in, he does exactly what Caleb can't do, which is moving and making movements off the ball. And even if you see how the goal was scored, centrally, make the run because you can see the pass, and then he scores a goal. But Dupree just needs to fix the final decision making because even in previous games, Dupree, if he improves the decision making then he would score more goals and he will also just create more goals because sometimes he needs to make a simple pass, he doesn't. Sometimes he needs to do something else and he fails to do it. But he had a good game, right? Because besides the goal, he just had a good game. He keeps on finding himself in the right places. So because of that, I'm going to give Utupri as well a 7. Moving on to Solomons. He also won us a match, by the way. Solomons comes in after having a dislocated shoulder, and we always talk about Gutumdlali. If they have something, they should. Well, don't always talk about it, but anyways, like the video. Effective use of his pace. He was played as a right winger, and he came on and he was using his pace bursting into the space that was available. Just needs to once again improve final touch but from what he got yesterday, having not played in like a month or so, it's promising. He can give us something, and obviously I'm expecting him to start as a right back against Pietermaritzburg United. Otherwise, there was nothing much to say about Solomon, so I'll just give him a 6. Umashiane benosamukelo Zwane, there is not enough data for me to say this is how much they should have gotten. Guys, give me your own player ratings down on the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you on the next one. Catch me on the live stream at 7:30. And until next time, remember, equals Alpelumoy.